What's up, brothers and sisters? It's your brother G World 7_D. And I'm going to talk about something I spoke about before in a couple of my videos, but I'm going to tie them up together, and I want you to pick up on what I'm saying, because this stuff is just in your face when it comes to your history. Now, this is a book, Pharaohs of the Sun. I talked about this before, about Akhenaten, Nefertiti, Tutankhamun, Tutankhamun. Alright, so I want you to pick up on certain things that I'm about to say now. I'm going to turn to this one right here, to page 174. Alright, a second. I'll turn to page 174. Now I got this right here, and I'm going to try to show it. And here this one goes right here. If I can put no light in there. Here we go. Now, let me get it in focus a little bit. Right, and which part I want to go to? It's right here. Okay. Let's see, 1 second. The tomb on Tutankhamun appears to have been a hastily altered private tomb, and its successors, Ai and Horemheb, were interred in unfinished sculptures in the West Valley and Main Valley, respectively. Ai's tomb shares some similarities in plan with the Amarna royal tomb, and that of Horemheb has been viewed as transitional between 18th and 19th dynasty types. The old gods reappeared along with many of the standard funerary texts, though these have some variations, additions, and deletions. The band private tombs of the post-Amarna period show continuing Amarna influence in the style of the decoration, but they too reflect the restoration of the old religion. There is an even greater emphasis on the god Osiris, and a new sense of personal piety is evident. In tomb decoration, scenes of Osiris enthroned replace those of the king. This lessening of fealty towards the king is also apparent in the choice of many high officials under Tutankhamun, and later to locate their tombs not to Thebes near that of the sovereign, but at Saqqara near the northern administrative center of Memphis. Many of the tombs at Saqqara are multi-chambered, freestanding structures arranged around a courtyard and resemble temples. Included in this group are tombs of Horemheb, a private tomb prepared before the owner became pharaoh, and of Maya, who was the overseer of the treasury under Tutankhamun. Alright. Tombs at Amarna are still being documented, and discoveries continue to be made in the Memphite necropolis. These include recent exciting finds of the tomb Tutankhamun's wet nurse, also named Maya. Alright, and I'm going to go to page 195. Alright, and we go to 195. I'm going to read it and get it focused in here. Private sculptures from Horemheb reigns exhibit the same trend away from the nuances of Amarna. On a seated statue, Maya, observer of the treasury under Tutankhamun, and Horemheb and Merti from their tomb at Saqqara. Youthful, unmodeled faces nearly identical in shape, glazed directly forward without expression, in a timeless manner characteristic of Egyptian art beginning with the Old Kingdom. Both faces and bodies appear aloof compared to the statue of Horemheb at Scribe, which was made during Tutankhamun's reign. Still, their naturalistic eyes and full lips and Maya's pierced ears betray the influence of Akhenaten's artisans. Like their pre-Amarna fur-bearers, they sit erect on their chairs, and although Merti places her arm around Maya's shoulder, There is no emotional interaction between the couple. Her tall, slender body exhibits none of the voluptuousness of the Amano years, although he still bears a trace of the Amano paunch on his facade body. Okay, I'm gonna stop right there. Here's Maya. All right, let me focus in on the left, not on the right, actually. All right, let me show you. All right, it's Maya. Remember, I just read you that Maya was the overseer, basically architect. I'm gonna go further down. All right, I'm on page now 279. Like I said, I want you to pick up on certain things, man. I want you to really pick up on certain things. Here we go to 279. I'm skipping down. All right, 279. This is your history, man. You have to go just really hunt for it and look for it because it's in your face. All right. And it's right here. Maya was one of the highest officials during the reigns of Tunk Unk Amun and Hornhair as the overseer of the treasury and director of works. He supervised the repair of Egypt's temples, which has suffered neglect and iconastic attacks under Akhenaten. He was also responsible for the burial of Tunk Unk Amun. Maya's own tomb was one of the largest monuments in the necropolis at Saqqara. All right. And I'm going to stop right there. And this is statues from Maya's tomb. All right, but I'm going, but I'm skipping there, and I'm gonna go to here. All right, I'm going to 167 in this book, and I've shown this before, but I'm gonna show this again. All right, and I'm going to the Grand Canyon. All right, and if I can focus on this right here, if I can enlarge it, if I can get a clear focus of the Grand Canyon. Okay, you can see it. So you can see it. Get a good focus. You know what I might do is I don't have it with me. I was getting my magnifying glass. Okay, here it is. There you see. This is image of what you call the Grand Canyon. Temple Ra, Osiris Temple, Temple Set, Shiva Temple, Isis Temple, Cheops, Buddha, Manu, Yagiza, Zoroaster, and this talks about the Grand Canyon. All right. Now, many of these, there's a lot of Egyptians' names used at the Grand Canyon. When you study history, you notice that the Egyptians had an expedition over the Grand Canyon. It was inside the Grand Canyon, supposed to be in a gold statue of Egyptian pharaoh. I want to say Tunk Unk Amun, and also the image of one of his wives or a female high status in that Grand Canyon, as well as statues of Buddha. Remember I told you before there was images of Buddha carved in the area of Alberta, Canada, where you find an image of Buddha next to Olmec heads, with Olmec heads of obviously black men wearing football helmets that were on top, and then the Buddha statue was like further down in a small pocket. I also talk about how Baton Rouge, remember Tunk Unk Amun, alright? Tunk Unk Amun, Amun, alright? You have, I'm going back to this book, this Akhenaten, Aten, alright? Akhenaten, you know? Tunk Unk Amun, or Amun. And the reason I emphasize that and I talk about that, because that you have places like Baton Rouge, Atan, Atan. This is Aten, Akhenaten, Atan. These names are very similar because the Egyptians were there. Like I told you before, how they traveled by boat, how they travel all over. They traversed the sea. They traveled all over through the seas, and they were great, skilled masons. And you look at the Grand Canyon. Initially, that was natural geological rock that was carved into. So people just say, "Oh, that's just rock formation." No, that rock was carved into. I talked about in other videos of mine how the inside those mounds they had furnaces, and they were smelting iron. They used the iron to carve into rock. They went to the Grand Canyon and carved into the rock and built structures within the Grand Canyon, outside and within, because there's very different caves what's inside the Grand Canyon. Now, unfortunately, most of these Eurocentric scholars and these Negro scholars will not be truthful to you, because they're going by what has been the dogma of basically of indoctrination, telling them that they're just slaves from Africa, or that the black people did not have the wherewithal to sell the planet, to travel around the world. And that's very ignorant, that's wrong information. Remember, previous videos I talked about how the original Vikings were black. Alright? I also talked about how, the original people of the British Isles are black. Remember, Akhenaten's daughter, one of his daughters, Queen Scotia, Scotland, is named after that black woman. Also, you see images of Tutankhamun doing a stag hunt, and you see rabbits and a greyhound. Greyhounds, in England. Now, what the greyhounds got in the dam, started to swim in the water, just floated to ancient Egypt? No. The Egyptians traveled to Egypt and they settled there. To Britain and settled there, British Isles, and settled in there. And it was over in the Americas. The pyramids, they built pyramids in Africa, they built pyramids in America, they built pyramid structures in Asia. This is all over. There's a reason why this connection is there. So these brothers and sisters use sophisticated ships. Not only dug out canoes and stuff, they use sophisticated ships to traverse the damn planet, to travel the world. They use special types of some ships were able to maneuver better within the smaller river terrain bed. So they had very different types of ships for very different types of sails. And many of these areas, like certain areas of the Grand Canyon where water was once there, it dried up. Like in the area where I told you with the Anasazi, one of the reasons why they might have left, because that water that was once there dried up. There was probably a plentiful of water at one time, but it dried up, as well as various different invasions. And so the people just didn't just leave out of no reason. Why you want to stay in the area where your greatest supply is no longer there? So we have to understand that when your greatest supply dries up, you're gonna have to leave and go somewhere else where you can go continue to do trade or just live your everyday life, which they did, fishing and all that, and hunting. When that stuff dries up, there's nothing there, so they're gonna have to move about somewhere else. So I'm telling you this now. Egypt was all over the Americas. Like I said, Baton Rouge, Baton Rouge. This stuff is in your face. Bata, Utah, Malibu, Timbuktu in California. All right. Alexander, Virginia, Cairo, Illinois. These names, man. But not only these names I told you about, these names like Tennessee, Tallahassee, Shawnee. These names are so similar because you had the same damn group of black people coming over here at different periods. Not only coming over here, they were already here. All right. So you had one group of black people. I said this over and over again. Each older group, and then another group come and build on top of them, and another group build on top of them. America is the old world. It's not new. And this information is very vital because, like I said, the Egyptians were over the Grand Canyon. That's not myth. But unfortunately, a lot of your Pan-Africans try to just dismiss that and lie about that. I just put out an encyclopedia, and I put out one of these academic books dealing with ancient Egypt. Now, you can discredit all these damn authors all you want. When they lie and say Egypt was a non-black civilization, they should be instantly discredited right there. But unfortunately, your Pan-Africans will still hold those individuals up and discredit other people. Discredit other authors and sources. So I don't listen to people like Jabari. He's ignorant, man. He is truly ignorant. And it's sad that people actually listen to that moron and think they're being educated. Or I'm a Welly Africa. It's so obvious that the original people here in the Americas were black. It wasn't just mixing in with so-called Native Americans. The original Indians in Americas were black. That's not up for debate. And trust me, literally, that's not up for debate. Once you do the research, that's not up for debate. And I talked about Maya. Like I said, Maya was a wet nurse in ancient Egypt. Maya was an overseer in ancient Egypt. Maya was a treasurer in ancient Egypt. Maya was also the damn dignitary that you seen. They had a tomb in ancient Egypt that Maya was coming across the waters from the Americas and dressed as an Egyptian when he came there because he was a spiritual teacher. He was an architect, so he was a great mason, but he's also a spiritual teacher. So he was coming over to Egypt, teaching those black folks there. He was coming from the Americas. You understand what I'm saying? He came from the Americas, and he was a spiritual teacher over in Africa. So you had the old Egypt in America, and you had the Egypt in Africa. This stuff is so much in your face, man. It really is in your face. And these names are just comical. Ba Atan Rouge. Ba and in Atan. That's Egyptian. This stuff is in your face, man. It's literally in your face. This stuff is literally in your damn face. And when you look at the Grand Canyon well enough, you can tell that that was rock that was carved into. And like I said in my previous videos, there was a technology, they had the technology the ancients had to cut into rock because they were smelting iron. And the Mali or the Anastasi, they was cutting rock over the Americas, they was cutting rock over in Africa, hell, they was cutting rock in Asia. They were cutting into natural rock. And our ancestors, like I said, they were able to travel. And they was able to bring larger animals by boats. That's how sophisticated their sailing were. Because you've seen giraffes, which comes from a certain part of Africa, over in India. Now how they got there and over in India, they were brought over there by ships. In the ancient world. So when you do the study and the information there, so when you get these clowns who just want to sit there and tell you and babble and tell you that black folks did not sail around the world, they're ignorant. They truly are ignorant because the information's there. You're going to have to research. I just showed you, talked about Maya in Egypt, and there's proof that Maya came from the Americas over to Egypt, dressed like the Egyptian in Egypt and dressed like a Maya in the Americas, because he was coming over from the old land as a spiritual teacher, as a great dignitary to the other land, being a high priest and showing them and watching over them, doing their practice there, because he was a high official. You get what I'm saying? Maya was a high official. Maya was also the mother of Buddha. So all this stuff does connect, because our history must be totally unlocked. We cannot sit up here and allow foreigners to dictate our history. And like I said, this is a book I have on Egypt. All right, and let's be honest, man. Anyone who want to sit there and debate the race of ancient Egypt is being comical. It's a joke. These were straight up Negroes, man. All right, these people were straight up Negroes, man. This is not up for debate. It's never been for debate. It really has never been for debate. You just got a bunch of racist white folks in their feeling because they occupying land that their people weren't indigenous to. This is so obvious it was a black woman. This is so obvious it was a black woman. It's comical to even debate this very issue. I don't even try to debate these idiots, man. And I don't want our brothers and sisters to follow these idiots. So continue to learn your history. Continue to understand your history. Do not follow these idiots, man. Do not listen to Sinetta and them clowns. Continue to learn your history and continue to study your history. All right? So I want you, brothers and sisters, to understand your history, love your history. And brothers like Aboriginal Power, man, don't waste your time. Our conscious one, don't waste your time with people like Jabari. Dr. Ali, man, don't waste your time with Jabari, man. You debating the brother? I don't even call the dude a brother. But y'all shouldn't waste your time with them clowns, man. Those are idiots. Those are idiots who want to continue to think like slaves and want to be slaves. They're what we call coons. And sometimes I hesitate to use that term coon because raccoon is coming from one of those ancient Aboriginal black people. We call them with the raccoon eyes, so they call the coon people, the raccoon people. it's so I'm telling you, man, our history is all over the Americas. Our history is actually all over the world. And that's why I kept harping on the Millennians carving into rock. Because if they were to carve into rock over in various places in the Americas, over in the Southwest, which the Grand Canyon's in the Southwest, in those other areas they were able to carve in the rock. I showed you those images how they carved in the rock and how it is actually exactly the same over in the Southwest as they are over in Africa. They had that technology to carve into the Grand Canyon. I showed you those little dames that was in the Grand Canyon. And you look at the Grand Canyon pretty closely, you can tell it was carved in. The natural geological rock was carved in there. So that Tutankhamun was over here in the Americas, as well as Akhenaten. The imprint was here because it was going back and forth. Because when you look at their royal symbol, I think that one part of it represents the Americas, particularly South America, and the other part represents Africa. So you'll see the serpent and the bird. You see the serpent and bird. Those represent the two lands. One in Americas, one Africa. In some images, you just see them with one image, and that's the Americas. So I want you, brothers and sisters, to continue studying history. This information is there, but you're going to have to seek it. And it's broken off in bits and pieces. Remember I just read you. Maya was a dignitary. Maya was the treasurer. A treasurer is someone who's very important. And there's proof that Maya came from the west and went to the east. And there's a tomb of Maya over in Egypt, announcing that the great dignitary is coming from the other side of the water to that land. We got to be more sophisticated in our history. I don't listen to people like Jabari because I know he's ignorant. And he boasts and brags about being so-called educated. I say so-called educated because he's not. He's ignorant. I come from a family line of educators. I've done my research. I don't need slick-talking Negroes with degrees to tell me anything. And I'm telling you, brothers and sisters, do the research because the information is lying right in your face. I say also listen to these names. I talk about Malinchi. That's a Mandingo. That means Mandingo. That's her hell name. She's a Mandingo. She's a Mandingo. That's what that black woman was. She was a Mandingo. The Aztecs were Millennians. They were Millennian Moors. That's what the hell they were. And there's very different type of black people that were here. This stuff's not up for debate, man. It really isn't. It's not up for no damn debate. Don't waste your time doing these goofy debates. Just do the research, because it's right in your face. These fools continue to deny all they want. But I mentioned before, the heat index in Peru, ancient Peru, was too damn high for pale people to be up in the high, to build up structures up high, wearing little to no clothing. They would die of skin cancer. Obviously, people with dark skin, very dark skin, who built those structures over in Heru, aka Peru, over in Jerusalem, so-called Jerusalem, or Perusalem, ancient Jerusalem. This stuff is literally in your damn face. It's literally in your damn face. It really is. But you're going to have to want to get it and seek it. Alright, brothers and sisters, you're going to have to want and get it and seek it. Like I showed you before, Ma'at with the feather on the head. I showed you that Gan lady over in India with the feather on the head. I showed you the Chickasaw Indian with the feather on the head. All three of them